Streets Radio presents Sports Talk. 1680 AM, 100.7 FM. Find us online at peaceonthestreets.com. Central Florida's premier late night sports show.
Make some noise, y'all.
What up, what up?
What's going on, brothers? It's another day, another week, man. And
Another dollar.
I mean, it is. John Morant is out for the season.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that, fellas?
Yeah, John Morant is out, and Kawhi Leonard, who only plays like 3 games a month, got paid guaranteed $156 million. Tell me how that's right.
I mean, he's got his bread. He's good. He's good. He's got his bread. Just go home and rest.
So Leonard is out. When did he get hurt?
What's that?
Leonard.
Oh, no, he just got paid. He just doesn't really play. There's a difference. There's a difference between hurt and not playing. And, so, yeah, no, he just got guaranteed a 3-year, I want to say $156 million. Guaranteed, fully guaranteed as well.
Load management is a beautiful thing. It really
Yeah.
is.
If we can pull this thing together, man, they're going to be one of the toughest teams to beat.
That's the big
I
what
think-
if, though.
That's what I was saying. I think your key word in there was if, because they haven't done nothing since they've had Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Now they've added Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Yeah, right. Because that screams winning right there.
Right? I mean, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, too.
Right. Yeah. No, but honestly, I think with the big news we got going on, I'm Stevie B, Steve Brennan. We got my man Brandon BC over here. Man, there's been so much going on, and actually some major news just came out just before we came out here that Nick Saban is going to retire. Nick Saban's been with Alabama for 17 seasons and has been dominating. 201 games at Alabama. Saban has coached for 28 years and has won 7 national championships, 12 conference championships, 11 in the SEC, which is unheard of, 1 in the MAC, and I didn't even know he coached in the MAC.
Nope.
He's got 19 bowl games and went 292, 71 and 1 as a head coach and has never had a losing season. That's amazing.
Yep. I mean, the 7 natties for me just speaks for it all. Like, he said he's the greatest college coach of all time.
Yeah, there's not much you can really... Honestly, you can love to hate him, and I kind of feel like the SEC is kind of like how the Wicked Witch got the house fell on top. They're all coming out now being excited because they got a chance.
Oh, I was one of them.
Yeah, everybody has their opinion on him. You can't deny the greatness of him, though. He really was one of the greatest coaches of all time.
You really can. And also, too, shout out, he's a fantastic recruiter. Like, the amount of like, if not number 1 overall number 1 overall recruiting class is always top 5 or top 10. Alabama they continue to pull them out.
Right. Having said that, actually, Nick Saban has had 49 players selected in the first round, and 44 of them came from Alabama alone.
Yep.
So that's absolutely absurd that you can actually put that to your resume as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we're moving from the coaching ranks all the way to the Black Monday for multiple NFL coaches. For those who don't know what Black Monday is, it's almost a yearly tradition. At the end of the season, the Monday after is whenever a lot of coaches find out their fate, if they're going to make it to the next, if they're going to continue, or if they're actually going to get fired.
So basically, it's worse than Black Friday.
Correct, right. So here's what we're going to do here. I'm going to ask you what you think of the coach, what is the most appealing position, and which one of these fired coaches probably will go get a job next. You ready?
I know ones that aren't getting their jobs next.
All right, so here we go, because there's quite a bit of them.
Yep.
We got Arthur Smith, the Atlanta Falcons, who went 21 and 30 and 0 playoff wins.
Trash.
Yeah.
That's simple. Well, trash, but I'll evaluate. You have Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, and yet they're not the focal points of your offense. You continue to put their backups in over them or give them more reps. Like, come on. And don't try to validate it like he has. Just accept it, take your L, move on.
Yeah, shave your mustache and we can move on with it.
Seriously.
All right, so we got Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders with a record of 26, 40, and 1, and also 0 playoff wins. I found that one to be really interesting that Ron Rivera didn't get any playoff wins in Washington at all. I know they didn't ever really had that great of teams, but I think Ron Rivera is a fantastic coach. I just am very surprised that he got 0 playoff wins with them.
Well, I mean, when you run into the buzzsaw that was the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, that does happen. So
yeah. So next, this one was a shocker to me as well. Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans with a record of 54, 45, and 2 playoff wins and got canned.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with Vrabel, Ron Rivera was, I think, pretty renowned for being a player's coach, but you could say Mike Vrabel was even more, having been a player at such an elite level for a long period of time. So that was a little bit surprising. I know that obviously the Titans had a rough season, and this was going to be the last ride for Tannehill and for
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, slipping on me right there. But yeah, this is supposed to be their last ride. I wasn't expecting it to be Vrabel's last ride.
No, I mean, he did have 2 consecutive losing seasons, and which is still it's still not the worst. There's been a lot of coaches, and so I was actually very surprised about that one. Here's another one that was a big bombshell that just came out. Pete Carroll, the Seattle Seahawks, with a record of 137, 89, and 1, and took him to the team, took 2 Super Bowl appearances, and had the team their only Super Bowl win.
Yeah, one that well, obviously he hasn't been fired, but one we'll talk about a little bit later on. Similarly, he's just been with the team a long time, and no one can stay on top forever with the coaching style. And I think with Pete Carroll, I think just the modern game has caught up to him. I don't think that his scheme is as effective as it used to be. So it's just time, I think, for him to call it a career.
He's got to be probably the coolest looking 72-year-old man on earth, though. Whatever he's drinking, it needs to be just passed around for the world or something, because that's amazing. That guy does not look 72 years old.
Yeah, no, he definitely takes care of himself.
Well, let's not forget that there were other coaches that were fired prior to this. We got Brandon Staley, Josh McDaniels, and Frank Reich.
Yeah, all of those. I wasn't surprised at all. Like Staley, the fact Staley and McDaniels both, the fact that both of those guys have jobs after the frauds they proved themselves out to be over multiple years of coaching, like they shouldn't have been given a chance.
Right. We also got the it's not official by any stretch yet, but we also have the rumor mill that keeps on spinning and just it hasn't stopped. Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. He's only 16 wins away from overtaking Don Shula. 15 to tie, 16 to win. Belichick is definitely not going to settle for a tie. That hasn't came out yet, but there's been a lot of talk that this could be the end of the ride for Belichick as well.
It needs to be, because, would it be cool for him to have both the Super Bowl and the wins record? Of course, but I don't even think the Patriots are going to get to 16 wins over the next 2 seasons. So, why, if you're Robert Kraft and you're anything, why stretch out the agony of just continuing more losing seasons under Belichick? And again, reputation preceding him, still, it's what have you done for me lately? And unlike Mike Vrabel, he is somebody that is at the end of his career, not at the beginning of his coaching career.
So out of the coaches that we just listed off, out of all of those, who do you think is going to get the next job, and which job do you think is the most appealing?
Vrabel. And honestly, whichever job is most appealing, honestly, it depends. It's a really tough one to do, because if you look at, for example, Tennessee, you still have a great defense to work with, like the building blocks for it. On Atlanta, you have incredible playmakers on offense, and you're just missing a quarterback for it being a top 5 in the league. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's New England because of the prestige of working for that dynasty. And it would be interesting to see Mike Vrabel go back there.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Being a former player, but
I agree with you. I think Vrabel's going to be the first guy to get a job out of all these guys that just recently got fired. Honestly, and I didn't even realize this as well. It's actually how well he actually did. He took Tennessee to the playoffs 3 times, including winning the AFC South twice, and also going to the AFC Championship game. He was also Coach of the Year in 2021. That seems like it was so far away ago, but that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago at most or so. I also, thinking back on what's the most appealing, we were kind of on the same page of this. At first, I was thinking Chargers, because you got, Justin Herbert, but Herbert is very, very good player, but it's hard to keep Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah.
They can't stay healthy together. Austin Eckler is probably on his way out. They all of a sudden stopped using him, whether that was a Staley problem or if that was, that maybe he's lost it a little bit. But I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think that's the most appealing job because they just need a QB, in which we were kind of saying, and where they're going to draft, they could easily maybe end up with possibly a Penix after that loss to Michigan. He might fall, his draft stock might have fallen. Yeah, Michigan dominated that one. So he could possibly fall. That's a name to watch out for, even like a Bo Nix or somebody. They're picking in a great spot to actually land a great quarterback in there. But like you were saying before, they have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson. And here's the kicker, all on rookie contracts.
Yep.
That's where you need to have them all. And so what you need to do is just get that one guy in there to give him a little bit of help. Maybe a Justin Fields. There's speaking of coaches here, I guess they're bringing back Matt Eberflus. The Bears have announced they're bringing back Matt Eberflus. Now, that does not say that they're bringing back Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Fields with those players, that could be a dynamic duo. So that's going to be really interesting to watch out for. But I think the Atlanta Falcons job, has to be probably one of the most sought after jobs at this point.
And I mean, you don't have to necessarily have it all figured out in year one. Like, look at the Bucks with BA. Like, they had a lot of great talent on the team, and they were still figuring out the offense and everything. Like, the defensive building blocks were there. But then in year 2, that's when they took off. So whoever's going to be the new coach of the Falcons, just take your time in year 1, get you that quarterback of the future, and then maybe add some later round defensive building blocks in the draft.
Right. Now, honestly, I kind of would like to see like a Ben Johnson of that's the offensive coordinator for the Lions right now. Obviously, he's still coaching for his team, so it'd be kind of hard to work with. But I like his play style, and I think it would fit with the players that they have in there. So I think that would be a fantastic pickup if they were able to pull it off.
Which sucks for me to say because they're division rivals.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm sure that's got to hurt sometimes, but
you got to be honest though.
Well, so we're moving on from all of the coaches getting fired we had 14 teams make the NFL playoffs, but Florida.
What a week 18, right?
Yeah, we had 14 teams make the NFL playoffs, and one specific Florida team did not make that, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Duval.
Yeah, the Jags finished the season at a record of 9-8, which was good enough for second in the AFC South and no playoff appearance. This has to be, honestly, the most disappointing team in the NFL this season.
Oh, for sure.
The Jags were on the radar, most people's radar, as a sleeper Super Bowl contender. Mm-hmm. And after the month of November, I even said it. And the Jags had so many chances to clinch the division, but go 1-5 in the last 6 games, including a must-win for the division. Since the Jags lost, they fired defensive coordinator, and they've fired 7 other assistants. Where does the blame go for the debacle in Jacksonville?
Sole blame goes to their PR team or their social media team for releasing the playoff tickets on sale. Back in mid-December, there was still 3 or 4 games left. I'm going to blame it on them. You don't do that, especially when you have a 99% chance. I get it, marketing, but you got a 99% chance of winning it, and the second you release that, just downhill tank.
Yeah, there was also that kind of thing that they did too. They had the players picking up the terrible towels and waving them, and since that point, that's kind of where the downfall started happening. So, I honestly, besides the marketing thing, who do you think actually gets the blame for this though?
Who do I think should get the blame, or who do I think will actually get the blame?
You can go either way if you want, honestly.
I think should get the blame is probably the head coach because, again, you have that kind of win streak going. You're riding high, and yet you can't motivate your team enough to finish the job. That's got to say something about your ability as a coach. All respect in the world to Doug Peterson. Great job winning with Philly, but it's you can't coast on that one Super Bowl title and expect it to carry you in the current year. You got to find a way to motivate your players that you got. Who do I think will get the blame? I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, honestly, I said it last week. If the Jags don't make the playoffs, they really need to take a hard look at Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
He has 1 more year left on his contract, so they're clearly not making a move at quarterback. But they need to put a plan in place if they're going to start making playoff runs here. Lawrence is just not that guy. He just simply isn't. In a division that clearly they had the best team and they still didn't win the division. Now, this isn't all on Lawrence. But some of the blame should also go on Doug Peterson in this situation, kind of like you were saying. Not only did you let a rookie QB win the division, who already looks better than Lawrence on his best day already.
Oh, for sure.
But you also let a rookie head coach take the crown from your team.
Yep.
So they basically walked in, they took your stuff from you, This honestly, and I didn't know this either really, but this hasn't been done since Andrew Luck in 2012 with the Indianapolis Colts with Chuck Pagano.
I was about to say, are we looking at generational talent potentially at quarterback?
Right, and honestly, at this point in time, if I'm a Jags fan, I'm furious and extremely nervous because the division has the division already has the best QB, and it's C.J. Stroud.
Yep, and they were touting how many years ago Trevor Lawrence was going to be the guy running not just NFC or AFC South, but the entire
MVPs, the whole thing, and he's
you should care.
Yeah, I picture him more just watching him as he goes as a fantastic backup. There's plenty of guys that have those kind of careers, but to me, unless it's going to come out that he was super injured and that injury that he did have was way worse and they just didn't release it as much, otherwise, I don't think he's the dude.
Yep, injured and banged up quarterbacks, the Florida specialty.
Yeah. Well, speaking of those Houston Texans, they kick off the Wildcard weekend. Are you ready for some football, baby?
Oh, I am so ready. I'm ready for Monday Night Football. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, we gotta get through the first parts first.
No, I gotta get through all of Saturday and Sunday just to get to Monday.
Yeah, well, the Texans kick it off. That's their normal Texan special. Every time they play the playoffs, for some reason they play on the Saturday at 4:30. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
It's the marquee or lack of marquee matchup. So
yeah. So then they're hosting the Cleveland Browns. All right. So the Browns have had a pretty interesting season, to say the least. It's filled with ups and downs. You know, Deshaun Watson goes down, and for most of us, they thought, the season's done.
Yep.
But have no fear, Joe Flacco is here. All right.
And that defense.
The 36-year-old was just chilling on the couch like everybody else.
Yep.
Watching football. He was throwing the football with his brother when he got a call to come back to the league, and he has been awesome.
Yep.
Honestly, he's just been flat out awesome. He's had some turnover issues, but he's thrown some bombs, and he's looked great. But he's also added some new energy to that Browns offense, and they already have the defense, which is led by, I think, one of the best defensive players, arguably, of all time, is Myles Garrett. Now, on the flip side, we got the Houston Texans, led by rookie QB sensation C.J. Stroud and rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans, who have both coached and played way past what they expected in this league, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
What's your thoughts on this game?
Honestly, even though time slot aside, this is one where it does present a very interesting matchup because you have, for example, the old guard and Joe Flacco versus the younger generation with C.J. Stroud. And also, too, just it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this rookie quarterback stacks up against such a tenacious defense and even more so, such a disruptive pass rush led by Myles Garrett.
Yeah, he's such a monster, dude.
Generational talent.
I always go back to that costume that he wore, that he just had the sack reaper that he had all the quarterbacks on there.
The NFC North just has the AFC North just have so many stacked edge rushers right now. Him, T.J. Watt, rest in peace for for the rest of his season.
Yeah, he's out. Honestly, I think you're on the right track with that. I feel like it's a total offense versus defense game.
Yep.
The Texans are playing with house money, though, and that's what I kind of think is interesting about this. They're not supposed to be here, so if they just let it rip in the playoffs, and let alone they're not even supposed to be there, let alone hosting a game. No one saw that one coming.
Yeah.
But there's always pressure going into the playoffs, but if they seriously play like they have nothing to lose and just let the ball fly, let it take the chances and have fun with it, then I think they have a chance.
Yep.
But having said all of that, let's not forget what happened the last time that the Browns and the Texans played. Mr. Amari Cooper did some damage to those Texans. And if you need a reminder what it was 11 catches for 265 yards.
Yep.
What can I say? Cleveland rocks. Give me the Cleveland Browns.
Yep. And then obviously, moving into the way this game is shaping up to be, it's going to be, looking back with how C.J. Stroud has handled pressure, how he's handled, great defense and stuff like that. I go back to when they played the Bucs, and they were supposed to have a great pass rush, and he handled it with poise, handled it with confidence, and set records ablaze. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be a good matchup.
Who do you got?
I'm going to go... Let's see. I went offense for the national championship, and I got burned. So you know what? I think Stroud learns his lesson in the first round, and I think the Browns sneak out a close one.
I'm agreeing. Cleveland rocks. Let's go Browns.
And you got to get one song in.
All right.
And we're going to continue with sports talk.
Wildcard round. Let's do it. Got BC over here.
Stevie B.
Presents Sports Talk. 1680 AM. 100.7 FM. Find us online at peaceonthestreets.com. Central Florida's premier late night sports show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, welcome back. We are Peace on the Streets Radio. I am Stevie B, Steve Brennan, with my boy Brandon BC.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Live.
so we were just talking about this wild card weekend, so let's pick it up where we left off here.
Yep.
We got the
What
number
we got
6 Miami Dolphins taking on the number 3 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Man, dude, does this game not have the chance to be like an instant classic?
Oh yeah, no, it's Tyreek Hill's revenge tour.
Right. Honestly, you got Mahomes starting off the playoff, the title defense, and you have the high-powered offense. What do you do with this game? Like, where's this game going?
I mean, it's going to be a shootout. Simple enough. You got Tyreek that's going to go for 200 yards. You got Patrick Mahomes that's going to be basically pulling a repeat of Super Bowl 55, running all over the place, trying to find somebody. But I doubt he will because nobody is on the level of Tyreek Hill aside from Travis Kelce. But
Yeah, well, honestly, I think it's the Dolphins really put themselves in a bad spot by having to travel to Kansas City instead of hoping a playoff game at home. Now, that goes without saying, but I'm not going to beat a dead horse and tell you the same thing we've been saying all season, that the Dolphins can't beat the good teams. And, we've heard it all season. It's been there, done that. It's time to play in the playoffs. But what I am worried about here's a different dynamic that's different than all the other games. It's winter now. So now we have weather. And Tua's never played in a game colder than 25 degrees. You know what temperature is supposed to be at game time?
15.
Around 5. Around 5 degrees, and then add the wind chill in there in Kansas City, you're going to be looking at something probably in the negatives. Now, Tyreek Hill, the last time they played, already slightly struggled from the Kansas City defense. So this adds a whole other layer of dynamic in there that now you have a Kansas City defense that's playing really well. Cold weather, there's probably going to be some wind. I think that's going to be a major factor in here. I think the Dolphins definitely do have a chance, for sure, because Kansas City's offense has not been what it was. It hasn't been the juggernaut that it normally has been. It's actually been the defense that's been leading the way. But having said that, though, the other problem for the Dolphins right now is that they are seriously injured. Right as of right now this is Wednesday night, so we'll see when the report comes out later on. But Waddle, Hill, Achane, and Mostert are all limited right now and listed as questionable for this game. So Kansas City has not been blowing the doors off anybody, but with all those players definitely hurt and possibly not playing, who do you got in this game?
Oh, man, I got to go. All right, can I play the if they are hurt, if they're not hurt game?
I will allow.
All right, so obviously if all those players are hurt, Kansas City stomps. But if they all somehow, somewhere able to play and they're healthy, I got Miami in a close one. I think Kansas City, that offense will be very ineffective. I think regardless of who's injured or not, I still think Kansas City, they're not going to win with touchdowns. They're going to win with field goals. Harrison Butker's going to go off again.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of going with you on one. If they can get at least back one of the running backs and Tyreek Hill, I feel good about going with the Dolphins. Yeah. But if they can't get those guys back, it's really hard to choose the Dolphins in this situation. Yeah. I got Kansas City defeating them, and just because of the weather and the injuries, I think the Miami is the better team in this as it stands right now. But going on the road, the weather, and just being decimated in injuries, it's got to be kind of hard to pick the Dolphins in this situation.
I'll play the positive side and say that they're fully healthy and they're ready to go, and Miami wins.
I like it. Hey, optimism is good.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so then we have another Sunday game. We have the number 7 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the number 2 Buffalo Bills. Now, this one, I was about to say the same thing. I think this one's the biggest slam dunk of the playoffs. I don't think this one's going to be much of anything. The Bills are more dominant team, hands down. I mean, there's no debating that one. The Steelers are a grinded out that can run the ball. They grind. They play good defense. I think if Josh Allen can play within himself and not try to put the Superman cape on and just play what they're giving him, then I believe that the Buffalo Bills are going to dominate. But as soon as Josh Allen starts trying to be something bigger than he is, he starts turning the ball over and starts getting in his head a little bit.
I just think the Steelers are here in the playoffs by default just because they wanted to keep the winning season streak alive for Mike Tomlin. They're done now with that. They can go home now, get their quick little playoff, and that's it. Yeah,
there you go. Hey, I'll just shout out for all the Pittsburgh fans out there. As a Colts fan, you're welcome.
So, all you Yinzers, you're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we both are going with the Bills in this one, right?
Hands down.
Okay, yeah, I don't think that was that much of anything. All right, so then we're moving on the Sunday slate. We also have those Dallas Cowboys are in a game.
No.
Yeah, so we got the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't let me in. No. You stay back there.
So we got, following that game, we have the number 7 Green Bay Packers taking on the number 2 seed Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about this game?
Forget about the Cowboys. Boo! Oh my gosh. No, honestly, as much as it pains me to say it, I think Dallas at this point, this matchup favors them too much. I know Green Bay has won the matchup at Dallas the last few games, but again, this is a different Packers team. This is a different Cowboys team, and they're playing really good right now. I think that they break the little curse of losing in the first round. They'll get stopped in the second round.
Yeah, we honestly all know that Dallas is a totally different monster at home. They're averaging 37.4 points per game compared to 23.3 points a game. Dak also leads the league in passing touchdowns with 36. Now, I got a quick question for you. Now, if I was to ask you who is number 2 in the league in passing touchdowns, who would you pick?
Brock Purdy.
No, that's where you're wrong. It's actually Jordan Love.
There's no way.
That's what I said, too. I had to look it up. Jordan Love actually has 32. which is pretty mind-blowing, honestly, considering everybody was ready to write Jordan Love off. But Jordan Love is actually number 2 in the league as the season stopped with 32 passing touchdowns. Pretty impressive.
How crazy would it be if he pulls off a Rodgers and Favre, just wins 1 Super Bowl during his whole tenure in Green Bay? Keep that tradition going.
What's your thoughts on Jordan Love, though?
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really high on him when he was drafted. I know this year, like, I knew that he was putting up solid numbers. I did not know it was that solid. So, I mean, obviously, he's exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple games where like it's inflated. So he's had a couple, 4 touchdown games or something. So it gets a little bit higher than what he actually is. I just think the kid needs more time. To be honest with you, I don't think he's bad. I think that he also has time if he has time to gel with these young wide receivers. They're all just graduated high school at this point,
Yep.
So they're all on rookie contracts. And so here's my thing too, is that with the NFL, I don't get just because a player Jordan Love's been playing for that contract. And why do they always have to reset the market? You don't have to.
No.
How about give the guy a reasonable contract for 2 years, find out what you got, you still have all those guys to learn and grow with, and see where it goes. You don't have to give them the entire Brinks truck just because they're supposed to be the next guy up. I don't think they should do that.
Well, and then if anything, it just kind of screws the rest of your team up for the next 5 or 10 years, like we're finding out with Kansas City.
$50
million going to one guy. I get it, he's the best player in the league. But now you've basically handcuffed him and this team to salary cap hell.
Brady was never the most paid player,
Nope.
even if possibly on his own team.
Yep.
All right, so who do we got in this game? Do you got the Cowboys or do you got the Green Bay Packers?
I'm going to say Cowboys in a close one, but here comes Mimi.
Go Cowboys! I think we're all agreeing on this one. We're going Cowboys.
It hurts me to say that so much.
So we got another matchup for Sunday. I think this one's gonna be a lot of fun. We got the number 6 LA Rams taking on the number 3 Detroit Lions. This is
another revenge tour.
Right, this is one of my favorite games of the entire Wildcard right here. It's honestly the Stafford and Golf Bowl, really, because it's all both teams on there. This is gonna be Stafford's, I believe, first time coming back to Detroit in a playoff atmosphere. Do you think the fans are going to boo him, or are they going to give him the proper respect?
No, they're going to give him proper respect because everything he did for that dude literally came back with like a separated shoulder, like popped it back into place and still won them an overtime game. Like, dude gave up his whole body for that team. Yeah,
100%. I think they're going to be respectful for him too, and there's no reason for them to be upset. I mean, he gave everything you had in there.
Now, will they win? That's the question.
Well, that is the next question. Honestly, since we're running out of time here, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get to prediction on this game. Who do you got in this game? Do you got Detroit or do you have the Rams?
The more complete team, Detroit.
See, I'm going for the upset here. I'm going with the Rams in this situation. The lines are a little bit banged up in here, and I honestly feel like Sean McVay is going to scheme out Jared Goff. He knows his limitations, and I think he's going to actually get the defense in that, and I think they're going to scheme him out right here, and it's going to be a high-scoring game, I believe, though. I think it's going to be a heck of an offensive game.
Mm-hmm.
But last but certainly not least, my boy over here, I'm going to let you take this one here. We have the Tampa Bay Bucks taking on the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm just happy I get to work another game and get that playoff pay. Like, let's go.
There we go. Paydays all over the place.
But
this one's a wild game here because right now because the Eagles are on such a downward spiral right now. How confident are you in your Bucks?
Honestly, I was not very confident in them until I heard about how banged up they were as well. Not just because teams go on losing streaks all the time and then they get their act together and absolutely curb stomp you in the playoffs. But the fact that Hurts is banged up, I believe Brown's banged up, they are going to be down 2 of their biggest weapons on offense. Honestly, those were the guys. Hurts killed us the most in the regular season game. So if you find a way to limit him and get that pass rush to kind of force him to beat you with his arm, I think that we have as good a shot as any. I think we can squeak out a close win. But we have to bring the A game that we brought to Green Bay, the A game we brought to Jacksonville, because if we play like we did against Carolina and the Saints, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, absolutely. Baker just needs to kind of stay in his zone. If not, bring in my boy Kyle Trask. I've been preaching for the last while. Let's go. Our body's fitness out there.
What a way to get exposure in your first game is the playoffs.
Absolutely, that's the way to do it. All right, so I think we're gonna go this on a count of 3. Who we picking in this game? 1, 2, 3. The Bucks. All right, cool. All right, so just as a recap before we gotta go, I'm going with, and the internet, you guys can tell me how wrong or how right I am, which I'm sure you'll be pretty well to do. So I'm going with the Browns, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys, Rams, and the Bucks. Brandon, who you got?
All right, so we got to run through those matchups again one more time.
We got the Browns at Texans.
I got Browns in that one.
All right, got Kansas City at Miami.
I got.
Excuse me, opposite. Miami at Kansas City.
That definitely favors Miami. That's a bold pick, Miami.
All right, we got Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Buffalo.
We got the Packers at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
We got the Rams at the Detroit.
Detroit.
And we have the Bucks and the Eagles.
Tampa Bay, all day, every day.
There we go. There you go. All right, well, that's all the time we have. I hope you enjoy this wild card weekend as much as we are.
Yes.
For Peace on the Streets,
Woo!
I'm Stevie B.
I was going to say, I was going to interrupt you. My bad. It is BC.
There you go. And we got Stevie B and BC over here.
Let's go.
Hey, everybody stay safe out there and enjoy your night.
All right, we want to thank Sports Talk for being a part of Peace on the